It always surprises me just how important my enjoyment of a show is just based on the main character. I just got done with the first 3 episodes of That Time I Didn't Get Reincarnated as a Slime, or in other words, my Isekai life. I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world. Yes, by the creator of Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest. For some reason, they have an obsession with sages. But yeah, this is my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Not Reincarnated as a Slime, so let's jump right into it. My Sekai life opens up with a guy named Yuji. It kind of just jumps forward, but to give a context from chronological beginnings to the point we're at now, essentially Yuji was reincarnated into this other world. He shows that he was a salaryman that worked in our current times Japan, overworked. A lot of people took advantage of him based on him just being a hard worker. Different aspects of socializing with other people around him. All these things kind of slowly show pictures of this life he had before as time goes on. But essentially, when he first arrived into this fantasy world, he's immediately goes to get himself up and he places his hand on top of a slime and immediately tames it. It seems like he's in this world that's sort of gamey because he does have like screens that come up in front of him that notify that he's a tamer, that he tamed the slime. But quickly the slime runs off, and he follows it. And it eventually takes him to this little cabin in the middle of this forest where there's a ton of books. Like, whoever lived here had a ton of enjoyment out of books. Well, he finds that whenever he opens up on these books, he gains skills. Like, he doesn't even have to read it. He just opens the book, and boom, he's got a skill. Well, he finds a whole bunch of slimes appear around him, and he quickly tames them all, and they all start opening all these books, just allowing him to absorb every single skill in the room within seconds. Well, this is kind of all we really get a glimpse of the origins of Yuji's experience in this world. We then kind of jump forward an entire week to our current times that we're really kind of dealing with when the show first starts up. He comes to this village, there's talks about slimes that can breathe fire, which everybody thinks is crazy, and Yuji walks into the Adventure Guild and quickly shows them all these flowers that he ended up acquiring that they need for this particular quest. Well, the celebrations get cut short because 10,000 monsters are all heading towards this village, and while everybody's saying, we need to flee, we need to get out of here, we need to evacuate, all the adventurers are going, no, we can't leave all these people to die to these monsters. Well, Yuji steps up and says, I got a plan. I can give this dragon horn to one of my slimes and allow it to create this big dragon flame. I can do it only once, but I can do that. And so we can set up a plan to sort of get everything funneled in and then just take it all out. Well, this is where we get a clear picture as to the capabilities of Yuji. Despite the fact in this world, tamers are seen as like weak. Like, nobody likes tamers. Nobody wants to party with a tamer. They're incredibly useless. Well, Yuji's special. And like I said, this is where we get an idea of him. As all of his slimes are out into the wilderness and the area around the village, everybody's fighting off the monsters, Yuji's kind of back in the village, and he's sort of like creating a command center. Like, he's got all of these displays up that show him all of these skills that he has, all of the pets that he has, and he's able to do a skill transfer. So if he wants to have a slime way over here use a fire spell, he can skill transfer fire, and that slime just suddenly spews out fire. It's kind of an interesting dynamic that he's created with his pets. Again, technically, tamers are useless, but it seems like Yuji has the ability to transfer the capabilities of himself to his pets, thus creating an army. So he can have tons of slimes out there, and yes, technically Proud Wolf, but he's able to transfer his skills to them, and they're able to use those skills. So yes, Proud Wolf is transferring slimes around, and he's able to give Proud Wolf speed. Well, this all leads up to that dragon fire that he was talking about, where he essentially transfers this super powerful fire spell to all the slimes around him, and they just nuke the entire area. And not only that, but he has to use it twice. Even though it puts him in negative mana, he's still technically able to go further, apparently. But yeah, he ends up saving the village, and then not wanting attention, he decides to escape in the middle of the night and go to another village. At this other village, he ends up trying to apply to the Adventure Guild there, and they're like, oh, you're a tamer. No, we don't really want tamers. And then she sees the card and sees that it has tracking skills, which is very useful in parties. So she's like, okay, we'll sign you up. But he ends up getting a party to go find a stone dragon. They end up going out to find the stone dragon. One of their party members tries to betray them because apparently there's a group trying to get rid of all the adventurers. So, and then eventually this blue moon aura happens around the sky. This huge blue dragon shows up. He kills the stone dragon, comes back to the village where they're all trying to set up and plan to kill this dragon. This is where it gets a little bit interesting because what they kind of insinuate is that the reason that this is happening now is because that 30 years ago, there was a ritual that was done. And this ritual was supposed to go into effect a week ago current time. Wonder what that ritual was. Possibly to summon Yuji? Yes, it seems like 30 years ago, they did a summoning ritual just to bring Yuji into this world to then later kill this dragon that was going to eventually show up that was going to destroy the world. So that's why Yuji's here. So we're already at the last boss. We're 3 episodes in and the last boss has shown up. So we'll see how long that lasts. So yeah, my thoughts on not slime, not reincarnated as slime. I joke about the reincarnated as slime because he has lots of slimes. They technically use the whole absorbing aspect. Technically, he's got a big wolf guy that helps him out. So it feels a little bit reincarnated as slime. But the problem is, unlike slime, Yuji is boring as hell. Like, this is the most boring main character I have seen in anime in a long time. Well, technically, I had one last season. But yeah, Yuji is unbearably boring. And that kind of sucks because technically a lot of my entertainment is coming around any side characters that can possibly give me some sort of character on the screen, because Yuji is just, he's blank. He is so super blank. He's not stupid. He's not one of those, oh, gross, I'm around a girl or anything like that. He's just plain. He's plain as dirt. And that's kind of my only struggle that I really have with the show so far, is it's really just him going around and not trusting others, over-trusting other people. It's obvious that he has serious trust issues. He doesn't know who to allow to know what he can do. And yes, technically what he's doing is sort of crazy. And if the wrong people know about it, it could put a bad spotlight on him. That's like him being able to destroy the entire area around a village. I understand that he'd want to get the hell out of there. You don't want people to know that you can do that. Some people want to exploit you. Some people will fear you. Nations can fear you. And they will want to get rid of you. So I do understand the idea of him wanting to get out of there, but you've already revealed your cards. They're going to figure out who you are now. But I will admit, despite the fact of my issues with Yuji, I do like what they're doing. Like, I like the concept of what Yuji is. And again, like I said, it's the idea of having essentially a bunch of beacons that you can send out, like totems or whatever you want to call them, these hubs that you can then inject your own ability into, and they can perform it. Like, he's a crazy spellcaster. Like, he experienced this when he first went to the adventure guilds, and he's like, he casts a spell, and they're like, wait, you didn't say the incantation. That you usually do incantation, otherwise it's too weak. And he's like, okay, does an incantation, it's like extremely powerful. So he's able to kind of limit himself, but at the same time, he's super overpowered with his mana capability, obviously, because he was summoned to this world as a hero. So it's really cool that he's able to kind of just give his minions his abilities. Now, the problem that comes from that is, after 3 episodes of watching the show, I am so tired of hearing spell transfer, spell transfer, spell transfer, spell transfer. It's just like half the dialogue in each episode is spell transfer, fire transfer. It's kind of a little bit annoying in that regard. So I don't know. This show has me all over the place on what I'm liking and not liking. Again, I think it's very unique. At least the spells and the skill thing concept is very unique. But at the same time, I hate the main character. I hate hearing him say transfer every 2 seconds. And everything outside of Yuji isn't very interesting. So far, like I said, we've had a 10,000 monster attack. We have go find this skeleton. Oh, by the way, bandits trying to get rid of adventurers. And then big gigantic dragon shows up. And by the way, you're the chosen one. Nothing story-wise or character-wise is really doing anything for me. Even Tina and Lisa and Lotus, they haven't really done anything with them. And I don't really expect them to do anything with them. I mean, they just showed up into his party. It's not like they're going to suddenly sit down and go, hey, by the way, Yuji, I was from a village that got burnt down 5,000 years ago by a dragon. They're not going to sit there and divulge their life stories. But they're very... Lisa's Genki and Tina's more reserved. And that's really all I got from them. I'll be curious to see how he ended up getting Proud Wolf and the Dryad. Hopefully here soon we'll get into that kind of stuff. But one plus side is Reveroot's doing a decent job. Like, this show doesn't look bad. Like, this is a really decent looking show. Now, I will admit that there's a lot of scenes that look very framey. Like, it just seems like they didn't want to fully do all the in-betweens for a sketch. And so it does seem like the characters kind of jitter forward. But other than that, I mean, a lot of the combat scenes are all functioning. There's no, like, use of CGI like crazy. They're hand drawing a lot of this stuff, and I give them huge props for that. To not do like most companies do and just CGI a bunch of monsters. They decided to, yeah, either animate them or just show some very kind of dynamic still shots. Now, I will... now, I question a lot of the artistic choices in some cases, but like, there's... I wrote down on my notes because I kept doing this. Like, there's this obsession with up nose shots. like every few scenes, there's this camera shot from like down on the ground up into Yuji's nose. Like, what is the obsession with showing up his nostrils? I don't know what it is. Whoever has, maybe somebody in the production team has a up the nose shot fetish or something. I will admit, despite all my hatred to Yuji, they are doing a decent job of at least allowing his previous life to somehow stick with him. Like, again, the whole concept of why Isekai, it does seem like Yuji, on a regular basis, does reflect on his previous life. So when you do have him standing there with a couple of party members and they're arguing about stuff, he starts thinking about, like, oh yeah, this is how this kind of happens in meetings and stuff like that. This is already kind of showing that it's going to fail. Yes, the idea of people having too many expectations of him based on what he's able to do, and reflecting on his previous life where he would work really hard and get all of his work done. So the boss comes in and says, oh, I guess you can take more. Good job. That kind of stuff is still kind of hitting on him. Like, it does give a sense that he was working as a salaryman for a long time. And so he has all these kind of normalities that kind of stick with him. And yes, you could say that's probably why he's so blank and has zero emotions most of the time. Well, all the time. But it still doesn't make it entertaining. Like, I can understand that that's probably a story reason why he's so boring, but that doesn't change the fact that he's boring. I mean, we have plenty of stories that are about salary people that go into isekai worlds, and they explain it typically in a way that I'm gonna enjoy life now. Like, this was my previous life where I was miserable. Now I have a new chance. Let me be happy. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on my isekai life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Subscribe if you've not already so you can get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Definitely appreciate everybody that does, and you'll take care.